Good morning, students. I hope you all understood the second part of Civics Lesson 1, that is Indian Constitution. Students, before entering into the lesson, please note down all the points and your doubts which is presented in this video. Then only you can revise and understand the continuity of the lesson, and your doubts will be clarified on the day of reopening. Students, before entering into the today's class, we just recall our previous portion. In last class, we saw about the directive principles of state policy. Directive principles of state policy. It is enumerated in part 4 of the Constitution from Articles 36 to 51. The Constitution does not contain any classification of directive principles, but these principles are not enforceable by the court, but they are fundamental for the governance of the country. The government is duty bound to apply these principles while making law. The aim of this principle is to promoting the social welfare of the people. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar described these principles as novel features of the Indian Constitution. Next, we saw the comparison of fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. Fundamental rights is derived from the Constitution of USA and directive principle is derived from the Constitution of Ireland. Next, we saw the fundamental duties of our country. Okay, let's start our today's portion. In this section, we are going to learn about state-center relation. The Constitution of India, being federal in structure, divides all powers between the center and the states. The center-state relations can be studied under three divisions, that is, legislative relation, administrative relation, and financial relation. Let's see one by one. First, legislative relation. The Union Parliament has the power to legislate for the whole or any part of the territory of India, which includes not only the states but also the union territories or any other area for the time being included in the territory of India. I repeat, the Union Parliament, that is our central government, has the power to make law for the whole country. So, it not only includes the state but also the union territories or any other area of our country. The 7th schedule of the Constitution embodies three lists, namely Union list, the state list, the concurrent list. Let's see one by one. For Union list, the central government has power to make law like defense, banking, currency, foreign affairs, and communication. In state list, the state government has power to make laws like police, trade, agriculture, and irrigation. But in the concurrent list, both central and state government jointly make laws like education, forest, trade, marriage, etc. First, Union list. The Parliament enjoys the exclusive power to legislate on subjects enumerated in the Union list. The Parliament, that is our central government, have power to make law on subjects like defense, banking, currency, foreign affairs, and communication. Next, state list. The state legislature has exclusive right to legislate on the state list. So our state government has power to make law on subjects like police, trade, agriculture, irrigation, etc. Next, concurrent list. Concurrent means it will be done on the same time. Both Parliament and state legislature have power to legislate on subjects contained in the concurrent list. The subjects like education, forest, trade, marriage, adoption, succession, etc. For example, recently we can hear lot of changes in our education system like syllabus and examination, etc. So these changes can be made and discussed by both central and state government. But in case of conflict between the law of the state and the union on the subject in the concurrent list, the law of Parliament prevails. So, in the case of conflict between the state and union while making law under the concurrent list, on the time the law of Parliament prevails. Do you know the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976 transferred 5 subjects to concurrent list from the state list, that is education, forest, weight and measures, protection of animals and birds, and administration of justice. So before passing this act, the law making for this 5 subjects, that is education, forest, weight and measures, protection of animals and birds, administration of justice, comes under state list, that is state government. But now it should be decided by both central and state government. In 1969, the Tamil Nadu government appointed a 3-member committee under the chairmanship of Dr. P.V. Rajamannar to examine the entire question of center-state relation. Next, administrative relation. The administrative power of a state extends only to its own territory, whereas the union has exclusive executive power over the matters with respect to which Parliament has exclusive power to make laws and exercise of its power conferred by any treaty or agreement. So, based on this administrative relation, the state has a power to its own territory to make law, but the union, that is the central government, has power to make law or to sign any treaty or agreement. Next, financial relations. Article 268 to 293 in Part 12 deal with the financial relation between center and the states. So based on this financial relation, the center and states are empowered by the constitution to impose various kinds of taxes, and certain taxes are imposed and collected by the center, that is our central government, and divided between the center and states based on the recommendation of the Finance Commission appointed by the President under Article 280 of the Constitution. So, based on this financial relation, the central government and state government both have rights to impose various kinds of taxes, but certain taxes are imposed by central government, and that money can be divided between the center and states based on the recommending of the finance commission appointed by the president. Late Prime Minister Indira Gandhi appointed the Sarkaria Commission in 1983 to make an enquiry into the center-state relation. So, in 1983, the Sarkaria Commission was appointed by our late Prime Minister Indira Gandhi to make an enquiry into the center-state relation about these financial relations. Next, we are going to see about official language of our country. Part 17 of the Constitution deals with the official language in Article 343 to 351. Its provisions are divided into 4 heads, namely language of the Union, regional languages, language of the judiciary and text of law, and special directives. So, the 4 divisions, that is the 4 heads, are the 4 regional languages, language of the Union, that is language of the central government, and language of the judiciary and text of law, and special directives. The first language committee was appointed in 1955. It submitted its report in 1956. As a follow-up of the report, Parliament enacted the Official Language Act in 1963. So, the language committee, first language committee was appointed in the year 1955. It submitted its report in 1956. As a follow-up of the report, Parliament enacted the Official Language Act 1963. The Act laid down that even after 15 years, English may continue to be used along with Hindi for all official purposes of the Union, that is central government, and also for transaction of business in Parliament. So, the Act laid down that even after 15 years, English may continue to be used along with Hindi in the Parliament. Again, through the Official Language Amendment Act 1967, it was provided that the use of English would continue indefinitely. So, based on this act, the use of English would continue without any time limit. The Constitution also permitted certain regional languages. Regional languages means local languages to be used for intra-state official transactions. The Constitution also permitted certain regional languages, that is state languages, to be used for intra-state official transaction. Initially, the Constitution recognized 14 languages which were included in the 8th schedule. At present, 22 languages are recognized. Next, classical languages. Do you know, in 2004, the Government of India decided to create new category of languages called classical languages. So far, the 6 languages are granted the classical language status, namely Tamil in 2004, Sanskrit in 2005, Telugu in 2008, Kannada in 2008, Malayalam in 2013, and Odia in 2014. So the six classical languages are Tamil, Sanskrit, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, and Odia. Next, we are going to see emergency provisions. The central government has been vested with extraordinary powers to deal with conditions of emergency. Three types of emergencies included in our constitution. They are national emergency under Article 352 and state emergency under Article 356 and financial emergency under Article 360. Let's see one by one. First, national emergency under Article 352. The President under Article 352 can declare emergency if he is satisfied that India's security is threatened due to war, external aggression, or armed rebellion. So, this national emergency can be declared when India's security is threatened due to war, external aggression, or armed rebellion. This national emergency is divided into two categories. One is external emergency, another one is internal emergency. So, external emergency means when a national emergency is declared on the ground of war or external aggression, it known as external emergency. So, when the war occurred in between the countries, on that time our country will declare this national emergency, that is external emergency. Next, internal emergency means when it declared on the ground of armed rebellion. On that time, our government will declare internal emergency. So, internal emergency declared when the conflict occurred within the states, within the country. On that time, our government will declare this internal emergency. External emergency means it will be declared on the ground of war between countries. Next, state emergency. Under Article 356, the President can declare an emergency in a state if the governor reports that a situation has arisen under which the government of a state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. The continuance of such an emergency beyond 1 year is possible only if emergency under Article 352 or an operation or the Election Commission certifies that there are difficulties in holding assembly election. In this kind of emergency, the state lose much of their autonomy in legislative and executive matters. After such an announcement, state legislature is suspended and the state is governed by the governor on behalf of the president. So, the Election Commission certifies that state are difficulties in holding assembly election means on that time the state is governed by the governor on behalf of the president. for the first time, the president rule was imposed in Punjab in 1951. Next, financial emergency. Under Article 360, authorized the president to declare financial emergency. So, the president only have rights to declare financial emergency if he is satisfied that the financial stability or credit of India or of any of its part is in danger. In this type of emergency, salaries and allowances of any class of persons serving state or union, including judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court, can be reduced by an order of the president. So, this financial emergency can be declared by only the president when the financial stability of our country is in danger condition. That time our president can declare this financial emergency. So based on this Article 360, the salaries and allowance of any class of person serving state or union, that is the government servants, including the judges of the Supreme Court and High Court, can be reduced by an order of the president. So the president can reduce the salaries of government servants. But this type of emergency has not been declared in India so far. Okay, today's section is over. I hope you all understood the portion. If you have any doubt means, please note it in a notebook. I will clarify that when the school reopens. Here I gave some questions based on this portion. Try to answer this question. Under which article financial emergency can be proclaimed? What are classical languages in India? What is national emergency? What is state emergency? List out the three heads of the relations between the center and the states. Thank you.